Hi, I wanted to make a video about the importance of finding that inner happiness, that inner peace and stillness, even when, life's blowing us around a bit. It's very easy to feel centered and at peace and connected to our higher self or our divine source or whatever when everything's going really well. But, a lot of the time it's not. There's challenges, stuff's going on, everything's a bit intense, things are coming at us from lots of different angles. And we want to be able to connect into ourselves, whatever's going on, and kind of grow strong roots like, the trees, really anchor ourselves so that, spiritually or emotionally or however you want to look at it, so that when our branches are being blown around by whatever storm, we can kind of hold on, and I think, self-care and meditation and mindfulness are really important when things are good as well as things are bad. That's how you strengthen and deepen your practice, how you strengthen and deepen your roots. If you just do it when there's a headwind, you're kind of constantly battling. Whereas if you do it, when there's a tailwind, or, when everything's nice and rosy, you're actually really building that practice and building that muscle. And I think that, I've really noticed that because I've kept a fairly regular practice. I forget sometimes and it does drift, but then when I come back to it, especially if I do it regularly when, it's relatively plain sailing, sort of in the in-between times, then, I'm learning more about, my practice, what works for me, trying out different things. And then, when there's a big old storm or hurricane or whatever, I've got a few tools in my box then to go and try them out. I do think, the more we do this, the more we know ourselves, the more we find our truth and our purpose and our kind of unique gifts and value. We can always return to that. Whatever's going on, it really gives us that anchoring, and also getting to that point of not getting into drama too much. It's one of my bosses at work always says it's never as good as it seems. It's also never as bad as it seems. And I know sometimes bad things do happen, but again, the stronger we are, the more rooted and centered we are, the better we are able to handle them. Whether it's a bump in the road or whether it's something a lot more serious. And I was actually reminded this week of a story from Rumi, the Persian poet, I think from around the 13th century. And he wrote lots of beautiful poems, and there's loads of stuff all over the internet from him. And he really believed in the importance of this kind of inner peace and calm. And one day he was in the market, and a beggar came up to him asking him for money. And Rumi said to him, "What is it you want?" And the beggar said, "I want happiness." So Rumi took him over to a nearby pond and told him to look in the water. And the beggar did this, and Rumi said to him, "What do you see?" And the beggar said, "I see myself." And then he took him to another part of the pond and asked him to look in the water again. And he said, "What do you see?" And the beggar said, "Well, the water's all disturbed. I can't see anything." And Rumi said, "Well, that's exactly it. When life is really nice and everything's clear, it's easy to see clearly. But when things are disturbed around you, then it's harder." And, I think for me, it kind of means that we can, we've got to kind of still be able to see things clearly, even when the water's disturbed, or when it's quiet. And self-care, inner work, whatever it is that gives you that that anchoring back to your kind of divine source is, you just got to do it when you're feeling good, and so that when you're not feeling so good, or when, life is throwing lemons at you, you have that anchoring, because the lemons are not going to stop coming. It's just life. But we want to be in a place where we don't get thrown around by our emotions quite so much, and those kind of peaks and troughs are, maybe a bit more like more gentle waves than great big sort of tornadoes. I'm really mixing my metaphors and things, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I hope that helps. Look up the Rumi story, it's a nice one, and see what you make of it. All right, see you in the next video.